This is the Eye for an Eye channel. Welcome to today's show. And this has not been a good week for those attempting to get into space. Now, I'll start with the obvious. As most of you know, Elon Musk attempted to get into space again, but ran into the firmament a few days ago. And of course, Elon Musk, if you're not familiar, I just did a video on the website uprisingrevival.com about Elon Musk, and of course he is now linking and luring and herding people into that old-fashioned conspiracy about pizza, which I can't even say the word without the algorithm getting triggered. So that video is available on the website uprisingrevival.com for anybody that's over there and hasn't seen it yet. He is obviously they're using these types of stories and things to gain credibility and herd people. Of course, this is the same guy that's developing the brain chip. So Elon Musk attempted to get into space, but ran into the firmament, and we have more bad news on top of that. But if you didn't see the footage of Elon Musk and SpaceX attempting to go into space, and of course the rocket exploding once it hits that big firmament in the sky, well, here's the footage.
Vehicle pushing down range. Chambers pressure nominal.
So that's obviously not a good week for space travel. It hasn't been a good long period of time for space travel. Ever since they faked the moon landing in the 70s, they've never been able to get back. But, I mean, we continue to give them money and continue to launder money there for many other things other than space exploration because they can't get there. But on top of all this bad news, there's even worse news, as you can see here from some of the headlines. Space travel could increase the risk of unfortunate symptom in male astronauts. What's the symptom? Well, astronauts are now prone to erectile dysfunction, according to a study. I'm not quite sure how this is happening because they're not really going anywhere, but galactic cosmic rays can impair function of erectile issues. Now, you might say, well, why are they even releasing stuff like this? Well, they're normalizing erectile dysfunction, just like they're normalizing people not being able to have babies, all these things which are obviously a product of many of the things that they're doing to us. We are their lab rats, right? They've been experimenting on us with the chemicals in our food. They've been experimenting on us with the chemicals they dump in the sky every single day. When you look up and you look for clouds, you don't see it, and you just see a haze in the sky or streaks. You're not realizing you're being poisoned. Then, of course, speaking of poison, we know they've been experimenting on people with a experimental poison that people have been taking. And then on top of all of that, of course, there's the other experimental poisons that they give to kids at birth. So there's tons of those things going on, in addition, of course, to those huge towers in our town that emit rays that people can't see with their own eyes. Thus, they're all just walking around thinking it's normal for men to have erectile dysfunction, thinking it's normal for people not to be able to have babies anymore. They're like, yeah, it's normal. Oh, you're trying to have a kid, you can't have a kid. Oh, it's normal. Why is it normal? Just like, of course, they've been duped into thinking it's normal to have an autistic child. That is not normal. Right? So what have they done psychologically to convince people that that's normal? They've created show after show after show about people who are autistic, who are doctors, and who are successful in the world. And these are all subliminal ways to get people to accept and to think that it's normal for a child to be born autistic instead of say, why is the child born autistic? Why are the rates up? Why are the rates of people not being able to have babies up? Oh, well, it is because of rays, but not rays from space. Rays right in your town, coming out of those big old towers that you see on every highway, that you see in every corner of the town. They are everywhere, and people don't even realize it. They don't even look up and see them anymore, just like they don't look up and see what's going on in the sky anymore. So deep space astronauts are now prone to ED, along with everybody else, of course. So space travel could increase the risk of erectile dysfunction in male astronauts, a new study found. I love how they use the word space travel. Being that we haven't gone to space, we don't go into space. You're saying, once you get above the chemtrails in the sky, is that when people are getting ED? Well, that makes sense, right? But being that you're talking about space travel as if we get into space, then why do we constantly see these things like Elon Musk's SpaceX rocket go up into the sky and then combust once they hit a giant wall in the sky? Is anybody wondering yet? No? Okay, so who are these space travelers you speak of? Does anyone know? You talking about the Freemasons like Neil Armstrong and all these guys? If anyone out there is new to all this stuff, all the astronauts are Freemasons, even admitting never to have gone to the moon, that space isn't real, they can't get into space, etc. It's a big old conspiracy, of course, that we've gone there in the 70s and never been able to get back because they threw the blueprint away. We're not smart enough to figure out how to get back there, of course, with all the money and technology that they have now. So people just believe whatever they hear. But space travel is increasing the risk of ED. Then, of course, by telling us this stuff, this is another way to normalize ED, by linking it to everything so that people out there who have these problems or people out there who can't have kids just think that it's the new normal. And it's worked because that's how mind control works, right? How many people have you run into or have tried to have kids who can't have kids? And like, oh, we've tried. Everybody's run into family members, right? I mean, I know people don't want to openly talk about these things. A lot of men are embarrassed too. But this is a result of what they're doing to us. And they make you think that it's a result of you. There's something wrong with you, or your diet is off, and all this other crap that they try to psychologically use on people. They are drilling us with rays. So there is some truth to the article when it says that the astronauts are getting cosmic rays, but the cosmic rays coming from those towers in your town, it's only going to get worse. So space travel, even though no one's gone there, could increase the risk of ED. The study published in the FASEB journal notes that this is due to astronauts being exposed to high levels of galactic cosmic rays, energetic particles that bombard Earth, as well as weightlessness while they're in space. The risk of and look, I mean, we can look at some of the guys who have gone up. We know Bezos has gone up. I mean, Bezos should be the poster child for ED. I mean, you look at the guy, I mean, probably only gets excited when he's around youngsters. I mean, let's be real, the guy looks as creepy as they come, but I can't go into more detail because, of course, I'm censored. So the risk of erectile dysfunction is not only present when astronauts are in space, but could continue for a long time after they're back on Earth. So in other words, you go up into space, you could have been perfectly fine in the pants. Then, of course, you come back down, and then suddenly you're just, having trouble for a long period of time. So I guess maybe they wrote this article just as an excuse for Jeff Bezos. I don't know. So researchers undertook simulations in male rats to reach these findings. Who are these people? I've always said that. Who are these people who are like, hey, why don't we send up rats into space to see if they're coming back down and they're struggling to, they're not able to get it up anymore. I mean, what? Huh? And this is your tax money, ladies and gentlemen. Don't worry about the roads in your town that are filled with potholes. Okay? Don't worry about that. Don't worry about the homeless situation or anything else. Or these are the things our tax money needs to go to. We're taking rats and sending them up into the atmosphere, not space, and we're seeing if they come back down and they're still able to mate with one another. So that's good. So they found that both these factors associated with spaceflight were associated with ED. They found that spaceflight can affect vascular tissues relevant to the condition even after there has been a prolonged period of recovery, the study reported. ED occurs when a person is unable to... Am I even allowed to read this? I don't even know. For anyone who doesn't know, ED occurs when a person's unable to maintain a boner long enough for whatever. It can be caused for a variety of reasons down on Earth, such as stress, alcohol consumption, or tiredness. Actually, while those things probably do cause that, I wouldn't know, but those things could cause that. A lot of these problems stem from getting hit with frequencies 24/7, getting fried with frequencies, and of course chemtrails, and of course the stuff in your food. Go get. I always tell people, go get your Cheerios or whatever you have, above your fridge, whatever cereal you have. It's the best example to use. Where it's just like, hey, it's cornflakes, and you're like, oh, it's just corn made into a flake. Go read the ingredients on it. You can't pronounce 99% of the box. Maybe the one word you know is sugar and high fructose corn syrup, but the rest of it, you're like, azilla-polyphene? Oh, that sounds great. Good way to start the day. Hey, pass me some of that hydrochloric acid. What? Yeah, it's in your food. Okay. So prior research has demonstrated that GCR can cause damage to the endothelium and the nervous system, both of which are critical for proper erectile function. Generally speaking, the protective systems in the erectile tissues are less robust than the central cardiovascular system, so we hypnotize. So we hypnotize is the proper word. They are hypnotizing people with this article. No, so we hypothesize that there would be an adverse effect of the erectile issues. The surprising element of the study is that we observed these effects after such a long recovery period. The research concluded that changes in vascular tissues can occur from even low doses of galactic cosmic radiation. So there's the key sentence, right? Because we know galactic cosmic radiation isn't real, but we do know radiation is real and it's coming right out of those towers, okay? So while they normalize all this stuff, they don't want you to look there. Now they're looking up at things like space, and this is why people can't get easy, because so many people go into space, right? So why would they even release such a stupid article? Well, it's just to make it sound more and more normal. So a regular person reads it who has this issue, and they're like, oh, even astronauts have it. Oh, even astronauts have it, right? But the key word, of course, is radiation, right? Galactic cosmic radiation, but they don't talk about the radiation that comes out of these towers when it's well known that they do. And they silence people who talk about it. And of course, I can't get into more detail about that with the whole thing that just happened a couple of years ago. I'll have to save that, that stuff on the website because that's one of the strict rules you're not allowed to talk about here on YouTube. So they say weightlessness or the absence of gravity also contributed towards this, although to a lesser extent. The study reported that weightlessness mainly contributed to the change through oxidative stress, which is defined as an imbalance of radicals and antioxidants in the body. This is all stuff that you'll read about if you learn about radiation poisoning from those towers. Problems with your immune system, etc., from problems, antioxidants in the body. Does that sound familiar? Like something else that just went on with antioxidants in the body and immune system deficiency problems? No, yeah, connect the dots. So because more of those things were popping up right at the time, and now they're everywhere. So with more manned missions to space planned for coming years, there needs to be more of a focus on astronauts' sexual health when they return to Earth. Does there need to be? Okay, these are issues that we're having, apparently. Current space vehicles provide negligible protection against GCR, so are not effective ways to protect astronauts from this exposure on trips to deep space. Why don't they, how am I even reading this about deep space? When they tell us that we can't even get to space, they can't even fake prove going to space anymore because they know that the CGI is so bad. Like when I did a video a couple days ago on my other channel, if you haven't subscribed, it's over there on United Uprising. It's linked below. I did a video showing the thing that I showed you earlier with them hitting the firmament. A lot of people were commenting, like, can you cover the thing with India from the summer? India went to space. If you didn't see the footage, it's like, it's so fake that they can't fake this stuff. Even though they have pretty amazing technology as far as like making movies look real. Maybe it's by design to see how many people will fall for it. But the India space landing, if you didn't see it, it looks like it's out of an Atari game. For those of you that don't know, Atari, like the early, before Nintendo video game consoles, like it couldn't have been faker. It was so funny. People kept commenting, wanting me to cover it. It's old news, but they can't even fake this stuff anymore because they know people will dissect it. So then they just tell you that people are in space, but like nobody's going to space. So why are we even doing this article? So they're just making people think that people are flying around in space all over the place, but we haven't got back to the moon. But again, it's just a cluster of confusion, like I said recently. Okay, we're living in the land of confusion. Nobody's concerned. Nobody's asking questions. This is all normal, folks. Astronauts having problems in their pants, of course, having problems when they come back to Earth, and we need to do something about it, right? How about we get it? How about we actually have footage of us going into space? That would be great. And you can't just use the moon landing footage, which they won't use anymore because they know that it's just like, it's too comical. The proof, back then, remember, I mentioned that in the previous video on the other channel. They didn't have the internet and stuff. So they could throw that at you really fast. You didn't even have a tape recorder of the moon landing, and nobody was able to dissect it. That's why they used it. Now they know with all the technology that people could break it apart, and they already have. And there was a time period on YouTube where they were throwing people off the internet for dissecting the moon landing. Now they don't even care anymore because there's so many other things they have to worry about people dissecting that we know what we're talking about. So they've kind of just like let that go a little bit. But how about just asking the question, why is it that all these rockets with all this money, they go up into space, they explode when they just hit a certain point in the sky? They don't want to mention that, or how they always talk about a glass ceiling. They don't mention any of that stuff, right? They just want you to think that there's people floating around in space that are coming back with erectile dysfunction. And I mean, the simple fact is that there's people walking around us that might have this issue. I don't know. But I mean, we know the side effects of radiation poison. So yeah, I guess people are having this issue, including, of course, the other thing they're trying to normalize, not just autism, but people not being able to have kids anymore. And nobody's suspicious. They're like, oh yeah, dear so-and-so. How many times I've like read or heard about people who have had the IVF, and if you've had it, whatever. Okay, I don't really know much detail about it, but how many people, IVF is like a way to get pregnant, but it's like not really a natural way, even though some people argue it is. Like you have to go through all this stuff to actually make a baby. Like you have to get your sperm, you got to get your egg, you got to mix it in a tea tree dish, all this kind of stuff. And it's like, this isn't normal. Nobody was doing this 100 years ago because everybody was able to have kids. So what has changed between then and now, especially if we're so far advanced with our technology? Oh, what's changed is that there's these towers sitting up all around us. Okay, and before 5G, it was 4G, and before 4G, it was 3G. But they've been drilling us with radiation all over the place. And satellite, all this fake stuff, right? Well, satellites aren't necessary. People ask that with space, too. They don't realize the satellites are on balloons, but they have drilling us with radiation. Okay, that's the problem. That's what's going on here. Overexposure here to radiation. I've covered it millions of times. I mean, even when the cell phone came out, like on channels like ABC and stuff, they would cover it and they would say what? They would go, hey, you know what? We think that this stuff's causing ED. I mean, I used video clips in the past. So this is a normal thing that's now, it's not normal, but they've made this so normal that people are just accepting it. Because when they hear it over and over again and then they just have the same problem themselves, they're not suspicious as to why. They don't think, hey, 100 years ago, people didn't need to do IVF. People were just having kids. What happened in like the 60s when every family was like a family of 4, right? Then we hear all this stuff about China, how everyone wants to limit how many kids we have, overpopulate. And then suddenly it's like nobody could even have one kid and nobody's suspicious, of what they're doing to us. It's pretty unbelievable that they get away with this stuff. But I say that day in and day out, don't I? I mean, it's all pretty unbelievable. So, folks, space travel is going to increase the risk of the unfortunate symptom of ED in male astronauts. Of course, who are these male astronauts? Well, they're Freemasons, but I mean, really, who are they? Because nobody's up in space. So, I don't know. It's fake up there. Oh, boy. I mean, who is it? I got it. It's George Glass again. He's flying around in space with John Doe. So they're going to come back and have ED. So continue to normalize it. Continue, of course. This story has probably conveniently just come out on November 22nd because of the stuff that just happened a few days ago with SpaceX. Because now if you look up anything with space right now, this is the story that's coming up before, the thing's just exploding in the sky, which people are starting to go, hey, that looks a little bit weird. What happened up there? Yeah, well, it happens every time. Pretty amazing, right? Pretty amazing. I thank everybody for being here. Reminder, like I said, I have a video on Musk over on the website, uprisingrevival.com. And, of course, please sub to my other channels. You'll want to check them out. The video on Musk is about pizza. What isn't about pizza these days? It's pretty sick world we're living in, folks. But I thank you guys for being here. Hope you're all well. God bless you, as always, and your families.